It was the main event. Street Profits going against DIY for the tag team titles, in which they actually ended up winning. How'd you feel about the match?
Loved it, mainly because of the ending. This was every tag team match we've seen with them, but they always find little ways, little minutia to tweak it a little bit to keep it fresh. I think the only thing, if the Street Profits had lost, I would have still felt that it was stagnant because they're still repeating because this was a little bit different. I think this is why I'm okay with it in the greater scheme of things. Now, one thing that I keep hearing people say is whether or not the Street Profits are heels, and I am here firmly to say that the Street Profits are not heels. They were not wrong in what they did when they came back and just decided to fuck everybody up. And then furthermore, if you look at the ring placement, they were on. If you're the viewer, they were on the left side of the screen. DIY was on the right, so that firmly plants them in my mind. They were in the babyface corner. I don't know if other people pay attention to like what side the teams are in, but when's the last time you seen a babyface team fight in the corner?
You asked this question before, but I mean, I think if I'm playing devil's advocate, I mean
I know
DIY
what you're gonna say.
DIY was also in the match, so they're technically more heel than the Street Profits, so they would technically be in the heel corner, even if Street Profits were technically heel. So
So what is this? Is this like the Family Guy joke where they said, okay, like the devil and the super devil?
I don't
Uh,
remember that joke now.
okay, it was like the devil was just like the regular traditional devil in like the red suit and the horns, and like the super devil had like these big horns. He had like a flaming motorcycle or something crazy like that. Over the top. The point that I'm making is, are they saying that the street? Are you saying that the street profits are heels, but the DIY are they just super heels?
No, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I actually don't believe the Street Profits are heels at all, actually. I just think they're
Yeah.
more badass now, but I don't think they're necessarily heels. I think probably Trick Williams is probably more of a heel than the Street Profits at this probably moment. Not much more, but probably more of a heel than the Street Profits,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Not much more.
Not like I said, not much more, but he's probably much more of a heel because he's just been throwing people up against the locker, just doing random stuff, So yeah, but
I'm ready to crash out. Oh, it's like that.
yeah, I agree though. It was a good match, and I'm glad they won it in. I will ask, would it have been more impactful if they won at WrestleMania, or extending it to WrestleMania was just overkill at that point? Because
Overkill.
if they didn't win this, I was more expecting a DQ, whilst another team just came in and just screwed them out of the titles again, and they ended up in a four-way tag team match for the titles or something like that. That's kind of what I expected. That all these teams were going to be in the same match at some point, competing for it. So I was going to ask, would it have been more impactful if they won at WrestleMania, or just overkill?
Yeah. I think overkill.
Okay.
I don't think that we need to have everything blow off at WrestleMania because with that, when you do that, that just means that wrestling loses its unpredictability, which I think that's why a lot of people enjoy the show. Kind of like what we said earlier with Axiom and Gunther. It was exciting because when we knew that SmackDown was going to come up this week, at the beginning of the week, I had no idea this was going to happen. I didn't think that Gunther was going to be on the show. But when you shoehorn things into making every feud have to end or have a blow off or a major title change at WrestleMania, what that tells me is that the other shows are not as important. I know that the champion's not going to change hands at Elimination Chamber. That's not going to change hands at Backlash. It's not going to change hands at what fill in the blank with the show. That's what happens when you do that.
Hmm.
And I think this is a way to keep the show exciting. It still made SmackDown seem important. Like, oh, if I miss SmackDown, I could feasibly miss a championship changing hands. And that's exactly what SmackDown needs is that sense of spontaneity, that sense of unpredictability. And so I wouldn't have held out until WrestleMania, even though I mean, I'm sure you have the optic there, but do you really trust them to drag the storyline out with the teams involved with that stale tag team division, which is only like two real credible teams? Do you trust them to drag that out until WrestleMania?